You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerds Podcast. That's Puba, that's Pete, I'm Cole, and today we're going to talk about Eyes on of Wakanda, a animated series from Disney Plus from the MCU. This piece is very interesting because this one right here is about the actual city of Wakanda and how they created their war dogs and how they worked within the history of um, the world before they were let out for us to know who Wakandans is. So I just want to ask a general question, Pete. What do you think about the series?
Different, a little different in the sense where it seemed like some short stories, and the setting was Wakanda, and they just told four different stories, and of course, like you said, it involves the war dogs. Loved the animation style, looked very Disney, like if that makes sense. It looked very Disney to me, and they did four different stories, and they finished it off. I like the way they closed it out. I know that I don't know when it was supposed to drop, but they moved up the premiere date to August 1st, and they dropped all episodes at one shot, four episodes, and it was cool. It was pretty cool to see four different stories, and then it's way before any time of Wakanda Forever or the Black Panther movie. It's way before those times, but no, it was cool. I liked it.
What about you, Puba? Did you
I
enjoy
loved
the
it.
four-episode series?
Yeah, I loved it. To take us back and to understand the proudfulness of the vibranium that they protect and hold dearly to themselves. To see the way they integrated themselves into our world, hidden by all scenes of fashion. You know, to see their version of a CIA, FBI type of thing. Some of the shows felt like, like a James Bond type of film. Some of the shows on here showed the camaraderie of pridefulness of being from Wakanda, and to bring it back full circle to show us what in particular drove, I forget his name now, but T'Challa's father, his brother, to have him truly understand of what happens if you take these Wakandians and you put them into the world and the difference they can make, whether it be good or bad. You put them out into the world, and you kind of, understand that they were so far ahead of us, almost 500 to 600 years ahead of us in technology. um, was pretty cool to see. And shout out, and I hope we get into this, but the Iron Fist has been introduced to the MCU, and I loved every minute of
Yeah, absolutely. That was pretty cool to see Iron Fist show up in that episode. I wasn't too sure what to expect from this. I also feel like this was a miss. This was a strikeout right there, in the sense where this should have came out after Black Panther and before Wakanda Forever. I think I would have enjoyed it much more. But although I agree with you, Puba, it gives you this feeling of a more of a spy type. You know how the regime maintains what they have to do in order to protect their vibranium and stuff like that, right? So Pete, you did get to see Iron Fist. Were you okay with not seeing many superheroes in this show?
Yeah, yeah, I was. And usually I'm the opposite. But no, I went in there. I went into watching this understanding that that wasn't gonna be I wasn't expecting this. So I mean, I went into there and I went into it without any type of expectations for that, and thank God I didn't, because then I probably wouldn't have liked it. And I liked it. I didn't think it was groundbreaking. It wasn't, oh my God, this is the best thing I've seen. But yeah, I was okay with it. Again, I wasn't expecting it. It's cool to see Iron Fist, because I know that like there's a lot of characters, DC and Marvel, that there's different people who have held the title of different heroes. Like you see Dr. Fate in DC. He's one that there's been a number of people who've been Dr. Fate at one instant, at one time or another. And you know, you same thing for Iron Fist. So again, like I said before, this is way, way, way far from what we're our current time. So that was cool to see a different version of Iron Fist. But I was okay with not seeing all these cameos and superheroes dropping left and right.
Yeah, well, this is a timepiece and it works on history. It was pretty cool, but Iron Fist's helmet, like her mask, was so dope. The way she looked, and then the way she moved and stuff like that. The story was actually really good. When I first started watching this, again, I wasn't too sure what to get into, but it did pick up, and at the very end, it looked really good. Booba, were you satisfied on how the story ended, and then to see like Wakanda in the future?
Well, seeing Wakanda in the past, right? You mean Wakanda in the past or the future? You mean?
I was talking about the future one where the last Black Panther.
Oh, the time jumping back and forth, yeah,
Yes.
to make sure they didn't take it to the last episode. No, listen, I think it's one story. I know there's 4 different episodes here, but they all connected to each other, right? In the sense where the first one, the lion had the piece that Killmonger was looking for, and he was using it as his staff. That fell into the ocean. It was kind of recovered again. And to think that it goes back to what I think Pete said about people with superpowers, right? In that sense of nature. Like if you have this vibranium, it could almost be like the line was, like a god, because they weren't using this type of technology. And to cut it full circle towards the end, to say, hey, if you don't put that back, then a forgotten son will be missed, or something of that nature was the progression of the storyline there. And they end with Killmonger looking at the exact same thing, right? So to know that the Wakandians, whether it's with past or future, to know that they would take care of each other, right? And they said, she goes, it's in their hands now. We have to trust these Wakandians to do the right thing. Man, it gave me that Days of Future Past type of feel in that storyline. It felt very much like an X-Men story, and it is what it is, and only because we know that story more than we know this one, for sure. But it was Days of Future Past, where whatever they were doing in the past affected the future. I thought it was dope, because we only know it from Days of Future Past, and we know it from Back to the Future in those case scenarios where we see that happening. Even though the Hulk said that doesn't happen I think in Endgame, he was talking about it doesn't affect it. The stuff will still happen. It just branches off a different timeline. And we can go into the deep roots of this all, but I think it was intelligently done, and it was done enough where we knew what that hammer, or whatever you want to call it, of vibranium, what that meant to the MCU down the road, what that meant to Killmonger, what that meant to the future of Wakanda. It was palpable. It was strong, in my opinion, the whole storyline. To understand that, I didn't know there was war dogs that were assigned to retrieving all that back. And to say, put it back. We saw 3 missions where the mission was to bring it right back to Wakanda. And for them to talk about maybe some of the stuff needs to be left to the rest of the world. Again, I think it was smart writing. I thought it was good. I agree with Pete. It's not Spider-Verse. It didn't break the mold for me in the sense of seeing Marvel Cinematic on animation, but the storyline was good. I mean, from Achilles to that history as well with the Trojan horse, I thought it was done intelligently. It wasn't, and they didn't force Wakanda on us. They forced the missions and the different things in life about, we're taught, go to school, you You go to school, you graduate, you get a good job, you save money. But some of us take a different path, and we do well for ourselves doing our own path. I loved it. I love the storyline behind it. I love the energy behind it. Like Pete said, man, for me, the show is a solid 7 when it comes to the overall series. If it's rewatchable, I don't know, but I thought that last episode with the futures, I thought it was really good, really good.
So this is a timepiece, which is pretty cool how you're able to like see Wakanda be indulged in all of history. So Pooba, walk me through the first episode, the Lion's Den, if I'm not mistaken, and how you feel about this period piece that they're giving us.
Yeah, it's funny that we see these type of things because we saw I forget her name now that was gonna marry that had Black Panther's son. I forget her name right now, but she kind of went out in the world. So she was a war dog. And again, like if you think about it now and you see the piece with Noni and how she left, um, I thought it was great in that sense to see like original war dogs and not knowing that Noni didn't know that there was war dogs in that first episode. And then she became director and she's wearing a patch and she's being called director. It gave me Nick Fury vibes right there right from the jump in that first episode. I actually enjoyed it. The fight scene on the boats, like, come on, like that was if one thing about these shows, the fight scenes were dope. And then to jump from that to I think it was the episode with Achilles, I loved it. To know that that Wakandians were behind them in the whole thing with Achilles and Troy and the Horsemen. If you haven't seen the show yet, I'm sorry that I spoiled that for you, but watch the show. That's what we're here for. We're here to watch and talk about the show. To go then to get a piece to an older China, it was just a great to see how Wakandians affected the world without being known that there was a Wakanda out there. And then we get the that Days of Future Past feel in this last episode, in the fourth episode. Again, I can't talk about the intelligent writing behind this. I think it was super smart. I think it was good to see. And the way they hid themselves amongst the people, I gotta give them props.
It does remind me of the beginning of Black Panther when they were in Oakland and the brother of T'Chaka was he was actually sent out. He was a war dog, not knowing that, but watching this show now I understand he was sent out there just to spy. But sometimes you can get corrupted and stuff like that. Pete, you said that you was digging the animation, right? It gave you like a Mulan type feel, because that's kind of like what I was looking at and stuff like that. Are you anticipating or even excited about any more animations coming from the MCU?
Well, Marvel Zombies is next, from what I understand. I believe I believe it's in October. I'm not sure. We could fact check that, but I know they did X-Men '97. I believe it was their first show, Marvel animation, which I'm excited for. That I believe is coming out next year, 2026. We saw, of course, I believe it was our second show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and now they came out with Eyes of Wakanda. But again, I see this is it's all about them putting out content. I like that they're putting out good content and they have a division for animation, which I think they've done well on so far. In that order, X-Men, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and Eyes of Wakanda. But excited for Marvel Zombies, because I think they've done well with the animation.
It's also cool that in this show they had the artifacts of Wakandians and stuff like that. Yo, Pooba, how important do you think? You don't think anyone out there actually found vibranium, or maybe they did and don't know what to do with it? Like,
I mean, it's the power of gods. This vibranium, right? This before adamantium got announced in the Captain America movie, it's the strongest metal that was out there. So I don't think they know what to do with it. The fact that this power has been out there in this MCU universe and no one had. We've never seen anyone kind of conquer with the vibranium technology. It's the same way I want to see Iron Wars. I want to see what people do with Tony Stark's technology out there. But one of them, like the one in the lion with Noni, he built himself a kingdom amongst boats, and his idea he was freeing people, and you know he used it for power to be powerful. Other people, like in episode 3, were using it to praise their deity, to part of their religion, part of their culture. So it is powerful, and if the people that have it haven't used it to take over the world, then maybe they should keep it safe for us, because they haven't been trying to take over the world. They just want to live in happily and peaceful in their country of Wakanda, and they're so proudful of it. But yeah, I do think that it's we saw it in the Wakanda Forever movie, where people were looking for vibranium now, and it wasn't made to be used for peace. Where here you have these war dogs trying to grab a piece of their own culture because it escaped them or it's out there. And the war dogs that go out there, you're hoping that they use that stuff to keep the peace, to keep the eyes of peace of Wakanda, and keep Wakanda safe. But we saw someone use it, and they were considered a god. So yeah, no, the stuff needs to be under a certain amount of control. The same way I think this world tries to control nuclear weapons. If it's in the wrong hands, we worry, and we can go to war over these things. Vibranium, we haven't gone to war with it yet, but we saw in the Wakanda Forever movie how it could lead to a differentiation of how we use this power amongst countries, amongst different ideologies. I think having the war dogs, having it really explain what T'Chaka's brother was trying to say, we can use this to free our people, but the manner of what you take it goes back to Xavier is Martin Luther King Jr., Magneto is Malcolm X. How do you use your mutant power, right? And that you're born with. I think it all comes back and forth about the things that we love about superheroes and we don't love about superheroes. We just saw Superman, who uses power for kindness, probably one of the kindest people on this earth, trying to save a squirrel. But power does things to people, and I think for the most part, especially if it's gifted to you in the sense of this nature, where the Wakandians held vibranium, at least a bulk of it, then allow them to, if they haven't really done anything with it to hurt the world, I think they had a right to keep what was their technology.
And get it back by any means necessary. I hear you. Listen, we lost T'Challa in the beginning of Wakanda Forever. And I like the way the MCU pivoted and started just using Wakanda as a whole to tell their stories. But Pete, are you excited to see Black Panther again, either on big screen or even animated?
It's tough because, like you just mentioned, we lost him, and that was one of the, nobody knew. A quick story, I read a story that he was working on another movie, and nobody knew he was sick. Of course, those close to him knew that he was sick, and between takes, he's getting massages and people are pampering him. And there was an actor that judged him, like, "Yo, look at this guy. Who does he think he is?" But they didn't know he was sick. And when they found out afterwards, they found out, wow, this guy was doing all this while he was sick. And it just shows the respect that he had from his peers. But what I'm getting at is it's tough because once he was gone, I didn't want to see another movie. I didn't want to see another Black Panther. And I know Shuri is Black Panther now. I didn't want to see that. And it could be it could be me being selfish, but I thought he played the role so well. I didn't want to see it recast or, like, oh, now it's his sister. I wanted more of him as Black Panther. And it's tough for me to answer that. I know they do have him. They have his son there now. They teased his son at the end of Wakanda Forever. But yeah, I'm not sure, man. I like the fact that Wakanda, because in Marvel, there's no Gotham or Metropolis or Star City. They're real cities. It's New York, West Coast Avengers. They're in California, But Wakanda is made up. You know what I mean? And that is carrying a lot of weight because it's its own it's its own place. And but not to get off topic, I don't know how to answer that.
That's fair.
I
It
don't know
was
how to answer that.
it was cool in this show when the last Black Panther, when she said that, like that gave me chills. Puba, I gotta ask you, are you do you want to see Black Panther again, whether animation or live action?
I do, right? But to see a new Black Panther means that Shuri has to die, or be challenged, right? And could you imagine a movie about T'Challa's son challenging his aunt? Like, I don't know, that might be interesting, something of the nature. I just
Hmm.
don't know because of the time and things of that nature. I would say this. I would say this. The same way I was happy to see a different Iron Fist versus what we saw in the Netflix series Iron Fist. I liked it, and I want an opportunity to see the Black Panther again and its evolution. If it's okay for the mantle of Captain America to be moved on, and again, this is superheroes. We get different Superman. We get different variations of it. I do want to see another Black Panther. I just want to see a different variation of it. That's what I would say. Something just was different.
Something close to that. I mean, I kind of like your take on that to like pass the mantle over as far as the aunt and the nephew fighting for being the Black Panther. Um Props to the MCU, just like Pete said, for making this fantasy world or this fantasy country that even people today they would even throw it out there and it feels so real, it seems so real. And I do enjoy the stories of the Wakandians, but me personally, I can't wait to see Black Panther once again, either on screen or even animated, to bring him back. Hopefully Secret Wars can change all of that once we see. Well, everyone, if you haven't, please subscribe, like, comment to us. That's Pooba. That's Pete. This is the Eyes of Wakanda. I'm your host Cole, and I hope you enjoy this. And please let us know what you think. Do you want to see Black Panther again?
We will return.
The worst episode ever.